All right, it's time to talk with our featured guest, Dr. Anthony Brown. Anthony, how's it going?
Going well, going well. How's it going?
Doing pretty good, man. Thanks for asking. Can you kick things off by telling us a bit about your practice? Who are you serving and what are some of the unique things you're doing for your patients?
We are located in Durham, North Carolina, serving communities of Durham, Raleigh, Morrisville, Cary, and then outside of that, we see some patients. We opened up June 3rd of this year, so we're pretty new. Yeah, the name of the practice is New Leaf Pediatric Dentistry. So we're serving any kiddo between the ages of just a couple of months to 18.
It's your new leaf. So give us a peek behind the curtain and share what drives your passion for serving your specific patient base. Like, why'd you get into pediatrics? Why New Leaf, the name? Things like that.
So I graduated in 2014. My last year of dental school, one of my professors, the chair of the pediatric department, said, "Hey, you really have a knack with kids. You're really doing well with them." And I said, "I think that was just a cool kid." And she said, "No, you really need to think about this." So I wanted to go out and do some dentistry. And also I kept what she said in mind. And I made sure to see kids. I actively sought out kids on my schedule. And eventually I just realized that I got really great energy off of kids when I was in practice as a GP. And I knew that that's what I needed to do because repeatedly, I would come back to the office and my colleagues were like, "Why are you so happy right now? Didn't you just see a kid and you did filling? Like, how are you happy and not exhausted right now?" And then I realized it's not the norm to be energized and happy seeing a kid for most general dentists. So then I pursued it and here we are. The New Leaf name, it's another new chapter. My wife and I were searching for something that embodied that. And it was the fall time when we were trying to figure out our name. And so we were like, turning a new leaf. She said, boom, New Leaf. I was like, yes, that's it. And there are a bunch of iterations of new this, new that. And I was like, that doesn't click. But I knew it as soon as she said it. And she was like, oh, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, New Leaf. That's nice, man. Awesome. I like that. It's different. You know what I mean? I was thinking, is it like a name of a city or, you know what I mean? But no, it's the way you guys felt about it. I like that, man. Okay, so then pediatrician wasn't something your whole life, right? You looked into it. You were mentored into it a little bit, right? You were shown this is what you're glowing from. Yes. So then from that, looking back, is there a decision you made early on from the moment you decided to start jumping into that to now that you realize set the foundation for your success?
What set the foundation for my success, really my network. I would say I was set up with a mentor of mine and I ended up working for him for the past 3 years after residency. And known him since 2011, stayed in touch. It's very interesting the way things line up in life. Stayed in touch, didn't know I wanted to do pediatric dentistry back in 2011 for sure. So he was one of the first people I connected with. He really took me under his wing, introduced me to other people so that I made it to the position I am in now. That professor that planted the seed, that's another thing. Planting seeds, that's how we came up with the New Leaf name. But she planted the seed and gave me the formula of what I needed to do. And then I knew to go to my mentor. And then from there, just the trees. I'm not even trying to make up all of these references right now, but it's just happening.
Yeah.
But, and then it's just like, it really just started branching off and it's amazing how it just stemmed from one person.
So mentorship is strong, right?
Yes. So I love to mentor people, especially when they're in dental school, going to pediatric, but at any level, I love mentorship because that's how I came up.
Yeah, big time, man. Awesome. So then right now, what type of practice do you have? I mean, I know you mentioned it's a pediatric, but what makes your practice stand out in your community and how do you communicate this uniqueness to your patients?
So what makes us stand out, I believe, is our compassion. We really want kids to be comfortable and we accept everybody as you are. With kids, especially parents, they don't want to be feeling like they're judged for their kids having a yuck mouth or whatever somebody may say. I'm embarrassed my kid has baby bottle cavities or something like that. So just genuinely being compassionate and empathetic to people's situations and not making them feel dumb or crazy or different. That's what we try to show through our Instagrams. And then when people come in the door, it shows. That's the biggest thing that separates us.
How do you communicate that? Like no judgment type of way, you know what I mean? In the sense of, hey, don't be embarrassed.
That is a good question. I think that is something we're still working on now with our wording on our website. So I had an excellent company, Affordable Images. They go by AI healthcare marketing. Sometimes it's what their alias is. But they were excellent in interviewing me in an easygoing way, understanding my passions, how I phrase things to them. They were able to put it out on the website. So I think the website, if parents really do go and read our website, they'll get a great understanding of who I am, who we are, and our philosophy.
Okay, man. Nice.
Yeah, they were really good at SEO AdWords, but also like that'll grab somebody and then they'll read the true words of Anthony Brown.
Nice. That's really good. So then your startup.
Yeah. So from the ground, this was an office space for a church. They had 2,500 square feet. And so there was really nothing here to demo. There is a general dentist that's one parking lot down in the same complex. But yeah, here there is nothing really.
Gotcha. So you found this location, you were just driving by, or how did it happen?
The eye test told me that I needed to practice in this zip code. So we live in this zip code, my wife and I, but the demographics verified what we were seeing. Land being cleared off here, townhomes going up here, new street lights there. So that the eye test got confirmed with demographic study. That was how we landed on this zip code, this vicinity. We kind of then got a realtor, a commercial realtor, and that realtor took us around, showed us some places. First, we saw them on the maps. This location was really good. Right off a main road, Highway 70 or Glenwood over here, and Page Road. Very accessible roads right off of the belt line. So a lot of different areas can feed into our practice. All of those reasons, that's how we landed on this spot.
Okay. And then you guys went with a bank, right? Like the loan?
Yes. Went with Bank of America. They had the best deal for sure.
Okay. If you don't mind me asking, you can give me a range or you can give me the exact number, but like how much was your loan for?
758,000 and some change.
Okay. And you used it all?
All of it. Yeah. I'm wanting some more too, but they're like 758. That's all you're getting, man.
Yeah. That's tough.
They said for square footage, that's all we would give you. So it wasn't like any problem with me financially, but they were like square footage. This is what you get. With my realtor, biggest thing I had with him, he helped me negotiate some tenant improvement allowance because we're leasing. We really wanted to buy, but if we were to try to buy, there's nothing really around here. For me, location is more important than ownership of the land for right now. So there's nothing available to buy over here. So we're leasing, but the tenant improvement allowance from the landlord, we're able to secure another 100,000. So that kind of helped out.
Nice. Who was your realtor?
The realtor, his name is Jim Minuto.
Is it like a specific dental or is it like car or?
They're dental specific.
Okay, nice, man. Nice, man. So then you found your location, construction, easy breezy or?
Construction was actually very easy. Yeah. We went over by 30,000 of the budget. But I'm like, this is what it costs to do it. It wasn't even anything that was outlandish. It was just, this is what it now costs. But as far as timeline goes, they beat the timeline that they set out. So that was great. That was with Stark Construction. They've been doing dental since right around 2000. They're really good. They would got slowed down a little bit on the architectural part of things and engineering. But looking back, I'm happy if you take your time on the engineering plans and whatnot, because I don't want any pipes busting. I don't want any issues, electrical issues or anything.
Okay, man. Nice. So now let's dive a little bit deeper into your practice. You are getting ready to open up. How many employees did you hire? Do you have currently? Did you have to let anybody go already? How's that looking?
So we started with one in the front, one in the back. It's a funny story. I introduced them one time to one of my dental reps and I said, this is Nikki. She's our entire front end. And this is Melanie, our back end. And I was like, I probably shouldn't call somebody the back end. but yeah, so we got one front desk administrative assistant and then one dental assistant too. I just hired a DA1, dental assistant 1. She's going to start on Friday. I'm going to move up a little bit to where I need a little more help.
Nice. Okay. So then what qualities do you prioritize when hiring and how do you maintain a strong team culture?
Qualities is what I look for with both of these teammates that I have now, all three. And I was told you need to have some setting, got to have somebody with a lot of experience in the front. That would be really smooth for you. I went with the opposite. No dental experience. She started off the talk for our interview with, I said, hey, you're really early because I showed up 5 minutes early and she looked like she had been there on the, it was a Zoom interview. She was like, yeah, my anxiety won't let me be late. So I'm always 10 minutes early at least. I said, that's the greatest anxiety ever.
That's the
It's
greatest
the only
success.
time I accept anxiety.
Yeah.
I went off of genuine feelings, instincts. I think you can really trust your instincts with dentistry, with interviewing people for positions. I truly believe. Now, she had some experience with an optometrist office, and she had experience in billing with a real estate company. So she had experience with billing, but no dental insurance. The dental assistant, I definitely wanted her to have some experience. And she turns out to have a ton of experience, 11 years. Most of that time was in pediatric dentistry. That's been huge. And I don't think it would have been as smooth as it's been if it wasn't for her establishing protocols and making sure we're compliant with OSHA and radiation compliance and things like that.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. So if you could, Anthony, give me descriptors of your instincts. If you're like, hey, this does feel good. Did you ever interview someone where you're like, we're not going to hire you, but we'll entertain the thought just so you feel dignified, kind of thing?
Yes, definitely for the latter. I did so many interviews. I probably interviewed for the front office position. I interviewed probably 12 people. Some right off the bat, either they wouldn't turn on their camera, because they were all Zoom interviews because I was working a lot leading up to the practice. So I couldn't, meet face to face. And I was in Fayetteville for that. It was like an hour and a half away from here. If you didn't turn on your camera, it doesn't matter how good you may have seen. A couple of people said they didn't have a car. Even if you're amazing and you had experience, can't do it. And it was just like not making eye contact. But I had some that would read off of their resume as if they didn't even know what they did. They had to remind themselves. Just overall, you could feel like the levels of preparation, professionalism, timeliness. Surprisingly enough, there are a lot of people that no-showed, or they would, right at the start or 5 minutes after the time of the interview, I would get an email saying, hey, such and such, rescheduled the interview. I actually did interview somebody like that. They were great, offered the job, and then they signed on for the job. And then I heard nothing. It was a week before. I was like, hey, you still interested in this job? I mean, you signed up. And then it said, oh, yeah, by the way, I'm not moving to North Carolina anymore. And that was one that rescheduled for the interview, like during the interview time. Professionalism, you could feel it off of people.
Interesting. So then from that, what lessons can you share or did you learn that you can give as advice now?
So I did have one instance where someone said, I am stuck in crazy traffic. There's an accident. I have to reschedule. That was like 30 minutes before the interview. It's fine. That person actually got snagged up by another dentist, and that was a really good candidate. And she actually wrote saying, hey, thank you so much for the opportunity. But it was just something very professional. So unless somebody has an excuse like that, if they either no-show or reschedule that late into the interview time or something that felt like a red flag, but you feel like it's hard to get help sometimes. You feel desperate. Don't get desperate. Just be patient. And if you feel like you have a red flag or even a tinge of red in that flag, just listen to that instinct and don't get desperate.
Yeah, because sometimes we want to bend our expectations a little bit, right? In order to fit the mold, but then you're like, it never fit in the first place.
Even if the person has a ton of experience in dental, if they can't show up to the interview or no show, but then they show up and they're pretty good, they no show the first time. So
yeah,
keep that in mind.
So then you've been open since June, you said, right?
Yes.
So right now, what's production and collections looking like?
That's something I was looking at today. I use open dental software. I've been trying to get my negotiated fees to be what shows as production instead of net production or what have you. So I'm trying to figure that out with open dental. They're still trying to figure that out with me. I think my true net production right now is about 15,000, and my collections right now is at 10,000. So we still have some pending insurance claims and things of that sort. That's not an exact number for the 15,000 at this point.
Okay. So then beyond the numbers, what KPIs do you focus on to gauge the health of your practice?
I actually just looked at this yesterday. I was looking at the treatment acceptance. We're sitting at 2/3 right now, which I think is really good. We're getting patients in the door, getting butts in chairs. We're converting, and we're not like no pressure sales going on. It's just, hey, kid needs this. Just tell them what it is, and we're having good percentages with that. That's probably the main thing I'm looking at. There's not a whole lot for me to look at this point. It's only been 2.5 months. Yeah. But I think that's the main thing I'm looking at to make sure we're doing the right thing.
Gotcha. To making sure the conversion is going good. So then, with that being said, I'm sure right now, like you're implementing a lot of systems into your practice as you get the ball rolling. So, what would you say are some systems that are unique in your practice, or that you found being an associate somewhere else has been unique, and you're putting it into your practice now?
I would say my favorite system, it may not be unique, but having a route sheet, the front desk administrative assistant, they fill out what insurance, patient's name, date of birth, and then what they're eligible for. That's their end. They hand that in a clipboard with anything you need. The front end, they capture the signatures for treatment plans, for consent forms, all of that's captured in the front. They hand all those in a clipboard to the back person or the dental assistant. Dental assistant checks to make sure that everything was signed. And then the clipboard sitting right there for me. And I make sure everything's signed, like let's say for a restorative procedure. So it's like 3 spots where things can be caught that are really important. And you have another half of that route sheet where the dental assistant can write what's coming next. So if we get busy and she can't necessarily schedule them back here, the front end will know exactly what to schedule. So really the route sheet itself is so easy. It's just circling. Is the patient eligible for bite wings, pano, yes or no? Put in the route sheet, can we do colon? And then it's yes, no, instead of, yeah, bite wings were taken in December 2023. And then you got to do math and figure out, has it been a year? I think that's the unique thing about the route sheet that I hadn't seen many other places, but I saw it at one of my old associateships.
Interesting. So the route sheet says, can we, and then it gives you the opportunities.
Yes. And so you got bite wing, fluoride. In our case, sealants is a big one. And so can you do this? Yes or no? Instead of trying to figure out the dates and doing math and that kind of thing.
And so when you look at this route sheet and you see like, yes, we can, do you present it or how does that work?
I do kind of like a warm up to the treatment plan presentation. In pediatric dentistry, the way I've seen it done multiple ways, I like the fluid, I guess you could say fluid kind of model. And so I always have parents in the room. That's kind of a hot button issue in pediatric dentistry, but I love having parents in the room, especially for exams. I get to have them come over. It's like they're an intraoral camera, like a free intraoral camera there, looking in the mouth. And I say, hey, you see that spot there? You see that hole there? Or this is what a normal tooth looks like right here. Look at that one and look at this one. Then I'll go over what the plan is for each individual tooth. And then I'll have the dental assistant go over the actual numbers of what it would be and how it's grouped up and stuff.
Gotcha. Okay.
I never go over numbers, but I definitely make sure the treatment plan is very clear.
What were the initial, or has there been any challenges in implementing this system, and how are you kind of overcoming that?
The way to answer that question is whenever I see something come up as an issue, we then create a system. I forget what we were doing before. I said, hey, we definitely need these route sheets now. But when I would see that somebody either forgot to schedule, because there's a section in there, have we scheduled, yes or no, when they bring it to the front? We had a problem of recalls not being scheduled for like maybe 2 days. And luckily it didn't bite us in the butt too much because we're not so busy. We saw that we needed a system for that. So we created that system.
With this system that's been created already, have you seen any initial challenges like with your front desk, back office or anything like that or yourself or no?
No, I haven't seen any hiccups with that yet. I think before we had it, there were hiccups because people had no visual reminders of, did I schedule the appointments? Did I put all the procedures down in the computer? That kind of thing. So nothing yet. I'm sure there's going to be something, but
yeah. No, it's good. It's good that you're making the systems though. So you mentioned right now you're not so busy. So if I could ask, how many new patients are you getting monthly?
So far we have 47 new patients. I guess that could roughly be about 15 per month so far.
Nice. That's good, man. What strategies have you found most effective in converting new patient inquiries to scheduled appointments?
Quickness, getting to these patients with quickness and scheduling them with quickness. That was one of the biggest pieces of advice I got. And it is true. We have an answering service. So a live person between business hours will pick up the phone Monday through Friday, even when we're not open. And they have the ability to schedule directly on my schedule. So patients will call up no matter who they talk to and get an appointment. They gather insurance information, like everything. I think somebody answering the phones, a live person, that's been the number one thing to convert new patient inquiries, not waiting days or weeks.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Could I ask what answering service you use?
They're called Get Reach.
Okay. Okay. How's that coming along?
Yeah, I'm very happy with them. When I call for support, it's quick. I have no problems with any patients complaining. Man, I talked to somebody we're never open on Thursdays. I never got anything like, yeah, I called on Thursday. Man, they were rude. So I've never gotten
Mhm.
any complaints. I'd say they stay nice and neutral in my head. They don't live in my head for free.
Yeah. Yeah.
As people say, I don't know if I got that one right at all,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. I get you. I get you. Yeah. So they're nice and neutral. Nice, man. So then, right now, then, what are you doing for marketing and advertising?
marketing and advertising, we are spending about $5,000 a month on marketing advertising. We're doing mailers every month, and we're doing everything for 6 months. These things on the list. We're
Mhm.
doing mailers every month. We're sending 5,000 mailers out to a different section of our 5 mile radius. 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. And then we're just going to see which areas provided us the most calls. They track everything with different phone numbers so we know which area it came from. And then we're doing Google ads and meta ads. I would say right now, Google ads seem to be the best thing that's working. The mailers aren't working really all that great. They're definitely not giving back what they cost. And one thing that a lot of people tell me, you can't really quantify what the mailers are doing because they may just be bringing about awareness when the people look at it and throw it in their garbage can.
Yeah. No, I'm sure you started before, right? June. You
Yeah, so we
started
started, well, really the first month we started was May. Yeah, so it was just like a
May.
month before, 2 weeks before.
Okay. Why are you testing it out every 6 months?
That was the least amount of time that I could sign a contract for each company that's doing each thing.
Oh, so it's not like one whole company that's doing the mailers, Google ads, meta ads.
The Google and Meta ads are being done by people that did my website, Affordable
Mhm.
Image. And then I have MVP mailers. They're doing the mailers. So I have two separate companies.
Okay. Okay. How do you determine the budget?
That's a really good question. I just had a number in talking to mentors. We did a lot of talking to mentors who
Mhm.
consulted for us, and they gave us a number first 6 months to see what's going on. About 5,000 a month was a good number. So, and that was what I was comfortable with, how much we've saved up over the years for this practice. It was really just polling people, seeing, hey, what do you do? How much did you spend in the beginning and ongoing?
Okay, man. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you had to, let's just say this was the 6 month mark right now, like today, what'd you learn? What would you drop? What would you boost a little bit more of?
So I would drop the mailers. I forgot to tell you, we are doing signage. So I put out some
Mm.
long signs, got like 20 of them things circulated around streets around here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Signs have worked well, and we're a network with pretty much everybody. And I would say between signs and just people finding us on their insurance websites, those are probably the biggest ones that have pulled in patients. But I would say I'll drop the mailers, see about doing more signage somewhere, maybe at the Durham Bulls Stadium or things like that. I'm going to explore that once we stop paying so much for mailers, but that's something I would probably look into looking back. And I would probably double up on my Google ads. So
Mm.
right now we're doing 500 for Google per month and 500 for Meta. I'd probably do 250 for Meta and then 1,000 for Google. And then the rest I would try to find grassroots ways of advertisement signage, I think.
The signs are they like on the lawn? Like,
So I kind of run through traffic.
yeah.
I try to park somewhere safely so I can put them into the ground. It's just if you see somebody with a sign that says power washing for $500 for the house,
Oh,
like one of those like
the,
long signs, vote for Anthony Brown for a congressman or whatever, like one of those signs. And those I've actually turned over like for 10 signs, like $230. And I've gotten, I'd say anywhere from 5 to 10 patients from those signs. So they definitely
really?
pay for themselves.
What's on the signs?
It's our logo, just like this. And then in red, right above, it says now open really big. And then the phone number in black right underneath. And the background's white, so it really pops out against the grass. I put it in front of entrances to neighborhoods, like on main roads, entrance of the grocery store, off the main road, places like that, near daycares.
Yeah. It's legal. Like, do you get complaints from like the daycare or anything like that or no?
No, I haven't gotten any complaints yet. I do drive around and see where I put them, and a lot of them have gotten taken up. That's the worst that I've seen happen. And so it's one of those things that I'll just ask for forgiveness if I ever need it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never gotten any complaints or anything, which is pretty cool.
Those are the ones that like sometimes homeless people kind of grab, right? And then they write their, are those
Yeah.
it, right? Yeah.
Yes.
That'd be kind of expensive, but that's risky. But hey, it's working, right? I never thought about that. Never knew to if realtors do it, right? Why not?
Exactly. And I saw all these businesses doing it. And so I've done a lot of on the ground work I've visited about 20 general dentist practices, 10 pediatricians in the area. When I was traveling and visiting a pediatrician, I saw all this signage for a new general dentist in the area. So I was like, hey, if that person's doing it and all these other businesses that aren't dentistry do it, I'll try it. Should be okay.
Yeah. It's working. Awesome, man. That's really good. Real quick, if somebody wanted to get those signs made, where do you go?
I went to Staples.
Oh.
Yeah, staples.com. And they got it done pretty quickly. I paid for expedited shipping. My administrative assistant loves finding deals. She found coupons that took care of all the shipping both times. So I got expedited shipping. It was like 4 or 5 days from the time we entered it to the time we got it.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. Awesome, man. So then right now, from the moment I guess you decided to do your startup till today, what's been some of the best companies you've worked with? And then what's been some of the worst ones or the ones that hasn't vibed with you as well? You don't have to mention names if you don't want to. You can just, give us ideas.
Yes. So the best, I would say Dark Horse IT, because I do not have to ever think about my computers. Never. They just work. They're zippy. If I do have an issue, it's never with performance. It's always like, hey, I don't know how to do this. And then they write me back within an hour. They'll complete my inquiry with a solution like within 24 hours. They're really great to work with. And billing, there's no surprises with billing. They're the best, I think, as far as who I've worked with.
Were they quick with the startup process?
Yeah, I was actually slower than them with responses for things. And actually, like when I signed on with them, this is like back in April, they checked in every Monday. It was like a reminder, hey, if you have any updates on the building process, please let us know the timing of whatever so we can drop wires. So they made sure that nothing on their end would postpone our opening. They're always ahead of me, which is great. They're tied for, it might be like a 3-way tie. And I'm really thinking about it. It would be like Stark, the construction company I used for the upfit, and then Crown Realtors, Jim and Nuto. I think it was like a 3-way tie.
Crown Realtors. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Jim from Crown. Okay. So then were there any unexpected benefits from the Dark Horse partnership, and how has it influenced your decision-making?
They introduced me to you. So it's been really cool to meet you and be here. And thank you again for having me on here. This is really cool. That was unexpected and really fun. Yeah, as far as doing business, and like I said, with the check-ins every Monday before we had everything completed with the construction. And then my project manager, I guess you could call him, his name was Patrick. And when I texted him or called him when we were actually doing the setup of the computers, the TVs, getting the network started, he was my point person. He was remote, but man, he was always available, always picked up his phone. When I contacted Patrick, stuff got done. It was beautiful. So communication with them is just second to none.
Yeah. A lot of times, Anthony, people say with IT, hey, just go with like someone near you. You're going to need it, because Dark Horse works everywhere, right? In America. So like they're either going to say work somewhere near you, or, hey, there's somebody way more affordable. What are your thoughts?
So I actually went with Dark Horse because I was between 2 companies, and one of my good friends, his name is Alex Crisp. He's an oral surgeon in the area, one of my best friends. And he was just like, hey, I went with Dark Horse. I ran numbers with other companies and they had the fairest prices. And also you get what you pay for, is how I feel and how he feels too. But my dad always said that, especially with clothes. He was like, you get what you pay for. And then if you try to cheap out, you end up paying for another shirt that doesn't wear well. And then you end up spending more money in the long run. So that's how I felt with IT. I was like, I want it to work. I don't want to miss patient appointments. That costs you money if your computers are down. And it's because you tried to skimp somewhere else.
Nice. Okay. I like that. Now, throughout this process too, from the moment you decided to do your startup to now, what's been some of your biggest fails or pitfalls that you've experienced?
I would say, man, having somebody do my social media who I didn't get any references for. I feel like she stole $1,500 from me.
Really?
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
It was not what I was expecting as far as the algorithm on Meta likes to see original stuff. I'm going to do original stuff. And I should have asked for references, honestly, because nothing was really all that original. It just had like my logo on it. For instance, a terrible post the person came up with was the little girl with pigtails and said, flossing can add years to your life. It's like, that's not really the message you want to give kids. kind of sounds morbid, there was a group that I trusted and they were just nailing everything. And I was like, man, I'm loving this company, loving that company you're putting me on to. I should have asked for references with that and I didn't. So that might've been my biggest pitfall there. Probably in the future, I'll be able to think back and wish I did more due diligence on something as well.
No, that's interesting. Yeah. So they were working with you for like what, a couple months or just 1 month or?
It was like 1 month.
Yeah.
At that point, I just cut it. I would wake up thinking about it. I would be in the shower thinking about it. At first,
you're always thinking
like
about
that gray hair right there. We just cut ties, put that loss, and that's the cost of doing business.
That's stressful, bro, because like you're thinking about it, and then you see the post, you're like, that was it. You're like, I could have done this in 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Man.
But at the time, I'm like, I don't have the time. That was a tough one. But now it's like that March, April time where I think that was probably the craziest time, like 3 months prior to practice opening. You're just trying to get everything that's necessary to have a business going. And it's a ton of stuff. Mm-hmm. But now that things are dialed in more with systems, we can concentrate on social media.
For someone experiencing that timeline that you were in right now, where they're like, I'm about to ramp up, everything's just one big giant ball of a mess, but I think it's clear, I don't know. What advice would you give to them to help them avoid this similar mistake? I mean, I know we can do our due diligence, but at the same time, that'd be more time.
Yes.
So what advice would you give them?
I'm just thinking about this in real time. But if you just have a checklist, I'm so big into checklists now since being open almost 3 months. And it's like just a checklist for every single vendor you're going to hire. Just have it on there and maybe have references be the very last thing or maybe the very first thing that you look at. And then it's easy. You're not thinking, did I forget something? Or let me just go with them. So I would just say have a checklist and ask about references.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, if somehow a checklist organizes our thoughts.
Yes. Definitely didn't have that.
Yeah. So do you still have it? You still use a checklist?
Before the practice, I would use checklists for most things. And then some things I'll just rely on my memory. And you can't do that when you become a practice owner. So yeah, I use checklists for absolutely everything now.
So then how do you know when you're overdoing it with a checklist where you're like, I just oversaturated this thing big time compared to I just need to put the necessities and important things?
Sometimes when it seems like it's just too specific and it's almost like you're micromanaging yourself. For me, my checklists have become reminders more than anything. So they're topical checklists. So like just one big topic. And then that'll just remind me, oh yeah, for this, you want a second opinion and references. So whatever that one word would be, it's kind of like, okay, jogging my memory kind of checklist.
Gotcha.
Every single little bullet of what you need to do.
Yeah. Like instead of find social media agency, right? And then you're like, okay, and instead of find an Instagram, find a Facebook, then Instagram, 3 posts for Instagram. I get you. Yeah. So you're mainly just covering the overall top of the funnel thing.
Yeah. And like certain days, maybe I'll just have like on Mondays do this. For us, the end of the week is Wednesdays for now. So Wednesdays do that instead of check on this every day. Sometimes it's not necessary to check on something every day.
Yeah, because that can be overwhelming, man. Okay, nice. So then one of the last questions I wanted to ask you is, throughout this whole process, even when you decided to start getting into practice ownership, not where you already dived in, right? But before that, how has all of this affected your personal life?
Oh, man, I'm definitely not an anxious person, but I'll be honest with you, it has increased my levels of anxiety like I never thought I could have. I love the workouts. I just like found ways to have my workouts just happen or like little, talking about workout snacks. You just take out like 10 reps here of dips or pull-ups or something, just anything that's kind of get my blood flowing or just clear my mind a little bit. I'm just trying to get focused on that a little more. But yeah, I definitely have anxiety about like, man, everybody says when you have a startup, those first 6 months will be rough. They're going to be slow. And that's just the way it's supposed to be. That's something that's been tough, knowing that it's supposed to be like this, but coming from a practice where, you may see 40 to 50 patients a day, and that's what you're used to. And now you're like, I got 7 patients today. That mindset shift is wild.
Okay. And so then what boundaries have you set to protect too much anxiety going into your mind and then also to protect your time?
Yes. My wife and I were just like, hey, we talk about the business maybe 1 hour after I come home. And then after that, we don't talk anything business until the next day. First thing in the morning, we'll talk about it. Throughout the day, we'll be texting, calling. But like 6:30 p.m., We don't really do any more business. If one of us decides to do something, we won't bother the other one with it, but we try to almost stay very strict on weekdays or weeknights, just have a cutoff time.
Yeah. Has it ever happened, Anthony, where you're like, you set those boundaries and all these things, but then like something high level emergency comes up, and then maybe your spouse is like, hey, I thought we weren't. You're like, yeah, but this is for real right now. This is for real. Hold on. Right. And then it's like you diminish the boundary you put. Does that ever happen?
Yes. Yeah, that has happened. We usually start with an apology and we're like, but let me just briefly explain why this is important. And we're like, okay, we do have to take care of this. That has happened. And I can't say we're both like, yeah, that sounds great, honey. Go ahead and do that. I'll be like, all right. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
But it happens and we're not happy about it, but you got to do what you got to do. You're never really off the clock.
Yeah. So it's almost like the more you communicate in that time, the better. Even though it's not going to make it the best, it's a little bit better if you just super communicate with your spouse about it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, because you can be frustrated, man, and you'd be like, this is for real right now. Okay, it's not an hour thing. This is for real.
And it's usually my wife who says, hey, let's figure out some hard boundaries because everybody's going to be happier with boundaries. And she's right about that. Because before it'd be like all willy-nilly, any time of the evening, we'd be talking about it. And then we both would just be anxious. And we're just like, how do we fix this overall feeling of anxiety? Let's hit a stop time unless, like you said, there's some sort of emergency that needs to be taken care of.
Nice, Anthony. Thank you so much for being with us. It's been a pleasure. But before we say goodbye, can you tell our listeners where they can find you?
Yes. So we are on Facebook or on Instagram, and it's at New Leaf Pediatric Dentist. We just got on TikTok, still trying to figure out how to be cool.
Nice. Awesome. So that's going to be in the show notes below. So definitely reach out to Anthony. And Anthony, thank you so much for being with us. It's been a pleasure, and we'll hear from you soon.
Excellent. Thank you for your time, sir.